Just a week ago, I took St. Kilda out of my top 8 predictions, and right now that is looking like a horrid call regardless of how well the other three are looking at the end of round 6. The Saints are flying at the moment and sitting 5-1 with their one loss only coming by a kick to Craig McRae's Collingwood. The Saints have been a wonderful story so far, and it is time that I talked about them. I was kind of waiting for a massive statement, and I honestly was expecting them to just keep falling after that Collingwood loss, but the way they played yesterday, well, I just had to talk about them in this video. But before I do, if you want to support the channel, you can in a small way via patreon.com/DazTalksFooty. There is already bonus content there waiting to be consumed, including a Tim English piece that I am really proud of. Bonus videos going up this week as well, and you can access all of that and become a Premiership player for under $5 a month. Or if you want to support the channel in a bit of a smaller way, you can become an All-Australian for just $3 a month as well. This has been a dream, and I hope that it can continue as long as you've clicked that subscribe button as well and joined the Daz Talks Footy family. Of course, everyone is welcome, but it is absolutely time to talk about the Saints. My man, King of the Saints, Matty Dunham, has been wanting me to do a video on them for a while, and there is no better time than after round 6. Let's go. So let's start recently and kind of work our way backwards. The game against Carlton was very un-St. Kilda-like when you look at the numbers. Now, at any ground in Australia other than Marvel Stadium, having these kind of numbers go against you is usually a recipe for disaster, and the Blues had the leading 5 disposal getters on the ground. However, what the Saints were able to do was force Carlton into making turnovers, or of course sometimes Carlton were doing it of their own free will, but they were punishing them. I'm not usually a heat map kind of guy when it comes to analytics, but when it stares you in the face like it does here, it just needs to be noted well and truly that when St. Kilda got the football, they were more than happy to spread and to go. Whereas Carlton, for some reason, forgetting they've got 2 Coleman medalists, albeit one of them is horrifically out of confidence at the moment and not really a lot of smalls, St. Kilda made them pay. The other way that these numbers are a little bit distorting in the way that St. Kilda play their football is they are genuinely dominative in the statistics. When you look at things like disposals, marks, contested and uncontested ball, St. Kilda are top 4 teams in these stats. So knowing that they lost them as badly as they did, it was genuinely surprising going back and watching this game, as I didn't have a chance to watch it live, how they got it done. But when you look at the way that they're able to get the ball inside 50 and the way they're able to rebound out of their defensive 50, it is no wonder that their makeshift forward line has been able to put up points. Now, they're not putting up massive numbers in terms of the scoreboard, but they are conceding less than 60 points a game. That is extraordinary to start the season. So they're not having to put up the 100s, 110s, 120s that perhaps some other clubs are in order to stay in contention. The Ross the Boss effect. But what they're able to do, the Saints, is at particular points in particular games are able to get a run on and get momentum going in order for them to put enough score on the board to put their opponents away, whilst being able to defend the entire ground and their defensive 50 in unbelievable fashion. Other thing that the Saints are able to do better than nearly any other team in the competition is not only rebound, but rebound with purpose. When you look at their meters gained specialists, you can see that Jack Sinclair, Naziah Wanganeen-Millerer, and Mason Wood are their 3 leading meters gained players that are all ranked pretty highly in the competition when it comes to their averages, with Sinclair sitting inside the top 10. But not only are they gaining this meterage in a big way, they're doing it while disposing of the football effectively. Having Sinclair above 80% and the other 2 around the 75% mark means that St. Kilda aren't necessarily killing themselves on turnover, and they're able to still defend the ground with 6, 7, or even 8 players. They're not having to have guys behind the ball once they get an offensive move on, and they're able to create numbers and contests forward of the football, meaning that their forwards are getting their defenders in one-on-one scenarios, and considering both the rules and human nature, means that defenders are going to panic more when they don't have that third man up to spoil the ball away. St. Kilda are more than happy to set up scores not only from their defensive half, but their forward half as well. Their ability to lock the ball inside 50 via tackling and obviously the pressure acts, they're able to build that wall on the wing at halfback and then inside their defensive 50, force that turnover and kill their opponents on the way back. With Jack Steele both being injured and being quiet on the weekend, I think Brad Crouch's season has flown under the radar in a big way. Not a massive disposal getter in this game, but he has been extraordinary, especially against the Pies in that loss where he had over 30 disposals and kicked a couple of goals. You look at someone like the Blues, who they played on the weekend, whose 6 leading midfielders have combined for 3 goals all up, which is just extraordinary, considering this time last year, Paddy Cripps had kicked 11. But what the Saints have been able to do is spread the load. Now, as much as I'd love to share 15 or 20 of their players and how well they're going this year, I'm just going to highlight the 2 in a more dissective way. 1 down back and 1 up forward. Let's start with the cool, calm and composed Callum Wilkie down back, who is one of the best two-way defenders in the competition. Now, what does two-way defending mean? Simple. They're able to beat their opponent and win the ball. Callum Wilkie's one-on-one win percentage is extraordinary for a guy his size, especially now that he's being asked to play on taller players at times. He was having one-on-ones with Harry McKay, and sure, he didn't win all of them. No defender will. Having numbers like that when he is able to get the footy is exemplary. He was close to being in the All-Australian team last year, and if he's not in your round 6 team right now, I simply cannot help you. He has been awesome, and yep, that number 44 worn by Milne was extraordinary for many years. There are no Saints fans complaining about the man that dons the Tip Rats jumper these days. The man up forward that I want to talk about is a guy that not many non-Saints fans really knew a lot of, but those that did have him in their Supercoach team last year, this guy wasn't that impressed with a 2-point debut. However, this is not about Supercoach or fantasy in the slightest. Machito Owens has been simply extraordinary. Now, what I love about this kid and what I love about those numbers is he is able to put up elite numbers without being the hero, the king, the guy that needs to be in charge. He is doing what Ross is doing, and I'll talk a bit more about this later, but he is playing his role to perfection. His ability, like Jack Higgins, Dan Butler, and all their guys in their forward half, to be able to lock that ball in and create further opportunities is why the Saints are able to put scores on the board and then help their defenders by locking the ball in for longer, so their teammates down the other end don't have to put up with a hell of a lot of entries. Carlton, with their 400 disposals, like I mentioned earlier, had just over 50 inside 50s on the day. It is simply extraordinary how the Saints are able to be okay with giving up the ball sometimes and letting their opponents have plenty of disposals in a chain, but it doesn't result to much. They're not getting 60 points on the Saints at all this year. They're averaging less than that in points against, which I think I've already said. But it's extraordinary. Ben Patton is having an awesome year. Jack Sinclair, who after his breakout year last year, went into the midfield after being quiet, played a role. Jack Steele was really quiet at halftime, tagged Cripps in the second half. Every single player has been awesome at times and consistently. Brad Crouch had like 18 disposals on the weekend. Jack Steele was quiet. Didn't matter. It doesn't matter. And let's talk about Ross just quickly for a second. Ross has always been a coach that late in his career has always gotten off to pretty good starts. Now, of course, when you got a team like St. Kilda in 2009, which won its first 16 or 17 games, of course, that's going to help distort the stats a little bit, but he was like 0-8 in 2016 with Fremantle as well. But the start for the Saints feels different. And it feels different because A, Ross looks a hell of a lot more cool, calm, and composed, like I talked about with Callum Wilkie. But also B, the injuries have kind of been a godsend. He's been able to teach his system to players that don't have the superstar ego to play their way. Ergo, the system works. Now, the problem with this potentially is that the Saints are going to have to get everyone in and fully fit, of course. Are they still going to have those guys that are willing to do the things that don't really show up on the stat sheet, aren't going to end up on Facebook and Twitter highlights to be able to get the job done? Now, there's no evidence to suggest that they won't. Like I said, 5-1 with only a 1-goal loss in that L column. But the Saints are an awesome watch. now and for the future. The Port Adelaide game is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what Ross Lyon and the rest of this group have got to offer. So, Saints fans, there you go. 10 minutes of positivity out of the way, and it's been a fantastic start that I did not see coming, and not a lot did. Even you guys didn't see it coming either. But I will say this to the Saints fans: don't let the opposing fans, whoever they may be, get up your ass about how happy you are. If my mob were 5-1 right now, I would be pretty insufferable. You're allowed to be as well. History doesn't mean squat. Right now, you're good. Enjoy it. But that's it, guys. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family, as well as going to Patreon and enjoying the content there. Another video coming Wednesday night. This one's going to be a little bit more negative about a footy club at the moment, but more on that when it comes out. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your week. Goodbye.